GT Holidays, South India's #1 travel brand.
Govi, a vernacular edutech brand, skilling everyone everywhere.
I think motherhood has really made such an impact, and you really know who you are when you bring a little person into the world.
That's true.
And you are very decisive. It was a big challenge. You know, when I was 16 and I was in a hotel room learning Tamil dialogues and 90-day, shoots on set with like 45-degree heat. The big break was working with Shankar.
Yes.
The first time, and again I got a call from Vijay, director Vijay, and I remember it was in my Bandra apartment. He was like, Amy, can you come to Chennai tomorrow? I was used to the fact of films coming in and then, oh, we've decided to go in a different direction, or it's postponed for now, we'll keep you posted. So when I got the call and Kareena Kapoor was supposed to do the film, and I thought, this isn't gonna happen.
He was pulling your leg and he was constantly telling me that, she didn't do Kick with me, she doesn't want to work with me.
That was the biggest loss of my career. No, it really was. I would have loved to have worked with Salman. I mean, he's like top of my list.
When Kareena was supposed to do Queen, you were supposed to do Lisa Haydon's role, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Why did that not happen?
Yes, I think that didn't happen because I think it was a date clash. I think I was working on 2.0. Thalapathy Vijay is like iconic. Like he's like a sensation in South, and working with him and acting alongside him, he's just very charismatic, yet very approachable, but just has a very star quality.
I remember meeting Amy Jackson when she was shooting for Being Human clothing, and I remember her walking up to the canteen man, he was a little old, and just asking him if he was okay. That was my first impression of Amy. Kind, empathetic towards everybody, and extremely jovial. And she's remained the same, and thank you for doing this conversation only on Galatta, India. And how have you managed to not let stardom, success, failure, anything really change you?
It's been a journey, right? And it's so funny, I remember that shoot and it doesn't feel like that long ago.
It doesn't.
But it was some time ago, and so much has happened. And I just, I'm gonna put it just the way it is. I think motherhood has really made such an impact. And you really know who you are when you bring a little person into the world.
That's true.
And you are very decisive, so that's really made me evolve as a person and taken me to where I am today.
But Amy, you've had 2 releases. You're having 2 releases in a span of like 1.5 months. One did really well, the other one is coming up. And both actually have you playing a top cop. Am I right?
Yes, a top cop. I'm a prison guard in one film, a British prison guard, and then in Crakk, which is just about to release, I'm playing a Polish Europol agent, and they are both badass women. Honestly, one was called Sandra James, this one is Patricia Novak, and I got the real essence of like an action genre in each character. It was awesome. Obviously, I had to keep up with Vidyut Jamwal in Crakk, which was a challenge, but it really set the tone and set the standards high. So I hope it translates well on screen. I had the best time playing the character.
When you're not from India and you start off really young, you started off, I'm not wrong, at 15?
I was 16.
16, and you're a prodigy, and then you actually start
Prodigy?
Prodigy. Yeah, child prodigy, like they say. I want to know that, was it difficult in the beginning? Was it difficult to make that shift to a different country? When did you feel that, yes, this is what I actually want to do? Because you started off with modeling, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, Miss Teen World,
yeah.
And that's how I got spotted and cast for Madras Platinum. And it was a whole shift from, the world that I was used to. But I was always brought up knowing and wanting to take every opportunity, and my parents were very supportive. And obviously they came with me on set, they traveled with me for different film shoots. So without their support and obviously their permission, I wouldn't have been able to do that. So having them guide me and support me was huge, huge. It opened many doors for me. But it was a big challenge. You know, when I was 16 and I was in a hotel room learning Tamil dialogues and 90-day, you know, shoots on set with like 45-degree heat, and my friends were all, you know, first days of sixth form and, you know, starting to party and all these things. And I just didn't have that, which was a completely different world away from what I was used to. But it was the most incredible journey, and it's literally laid my life out to where it is today.
Do you remember the meeting when you were offered that film? What was your first reaction?
Yes, I remember. I do remember it. You know, I'd never traveled to London before that casting. I'd just been in Liverpool, you know, a very working class family in Liverpool, and I got the call, and my agent, modeling agent, said, "This film director wants to cast you for a film. Can you please go down for an audition?" I was like, not really. Like, no, like, how do I get there? I need to be there at like 8 a.m. tomorrow. Does he know I've never acted before? He knows all of this. You know, please, can you try and make it down? So the next morning, it was like 4 a.m., my dad drove from Liverpool down to London. I remember I was wearing this red trench coat. And we were on the River Thames, and that was the first time I experienced London as well. And we went for the audition, and it was in a banquet hall full of maybe 50, 60 other girls, and obviously other family members. And it was so daunting, and it was so overwhelming. But I kind of masked it, and I was like, I got this. Okay, it was all, but I was winging it, right?
When you got it, you wing it.
But yeah, exactly. And I'm a true believer in that. Nobody really knows what they're doing. They're just winging it, you know?
Absolutely.
And hoping for the best. But that turned out very well, and I got the role, and then my journey in cinema began.
You said that you've never traveled to London before that. So when you had to travel to a different country which speaks different languages, and you had to work in a language that you didn't understand, was it a challenge? How did you muster up the courage? Did you feel like there were, you know, when you make mistakes, people don't really realize that you may not belong here, and then you're making those mistakes, they'll still judge you. Did you have those eyeballs at you?
I think I was very fortunate with the director, with the role, with it being in Chennai. Everybody was so welcoming.
That's true.
They were just delighted that I was part of the film, and you know, the amount of home invites that I got and home cooked food on set from all the different assistant directors and director and DOP. So that made me feel very comfortable. The director was awesome, Vijay. He's like my family now. I just did mission with him.
Yes.
And he's like my guru. I go for him for all my advice. But I think having that support was really necessary. But also the role of Amy Wilkinson. You know, she was bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, never been to India before. The Tamil that she spoke in the movie was supposed to be a little bit off.
Off, yeah.
And that was the endearing part of the character, because she was learning it on the film and in the script. So it all tied in very nicely.
Did you read the reviews at that point? Because the reviews actually praised you a lot. Like, I read the reviews today when I was coming to do this interview. If you go and read the reviews, they actually felt like both films, both your first film in actually in Tamil, in Telugu and in Hindi, all the three films have actually got you really good reviews. Have you ever read those reviews?
No, I don't read reviews.
I want to send
Only send the nice ones,
Yeah,
okay?
I'll send you the nice ones.
No, I don't really read the reviews. I like what the audience say. I think that's the beauty of social media as well, and have that interaction with the audience. And I think the longevity of my career is thanks to the people who've supported and watched the films. But it's also very nice getting a nice review. Can be hit and miss, you never know with these critics.
That's true. But when you're in a different city, there are a lot of challenges that you face, you know, whether it's about house and everything, and especially when you're a foreigner, it's increasingly difficult. Did you face any of that in the beginning of your career?
Yes. It's a different country. It's a different industry. I had no experience, no, you know, advice from people who were family or friends at the time. I was totally dependent on the people that I was working with and having their guidance. And luckily enough, I met some amazing people along the way. But obviously it was a challenge. You know, I come from a small town in England, and learning a different language, different food, different culture, different acting in general. The movie industry is so far removed
From where you come from.
From where I come from. This was not a job or a possible career. Like, this is like what dreams were made out of. So, you know, I thought I was going to be a hairdresser, which I was fine with, by the way. So, to have that opportunity and to have the path carved out for me from that one film, Madrasa Patinam, you know, it's changed the course of my life.
But you did so many films after that, some of the biggest films with biggest actors, whether it's with Vijay sir, whether it's with Rajini sir, with Akshay sir. How did you manage to like crack that code? Like, when do you feel that the industry started noticing you, and what did you learn with each of them?
I think the big break was working with Shankar.
Yes.
The first time, and again I got a call from Vijay, director Vijay, and I remember it was in my Bandra apartment. He was like, Amy, can you come to Chennai tomorrow? I was like, oh, okay, like I'll do anything for Vijay if he thinks it's the right thing to do. I was like, well, who is it? I said, it's director Shankar. Have you seen, you know, Endran and Onion? And I was like, I have seen that, because I really researched the industry, especially when I was doing more Tamil films. And he was like a director that was on a wish list, like a goal, a manifestation list.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll be there. What time do you need me? And then we went and we did the test shoot. And PC Sriram, who is by far one of the most
best.
Talented, creative, you know, incredibly just awe-inspiring DOPs that I've ever worked with. So to have the pair of them, you know, on set and learning from them and having guidance from them, that was a massive breakthrough in my career.
How did you react to that film? Because that was the biggest film that had released on Indian diaspora at that point, because the budget was really high, it was very, it had a sci-fi element, it had Vikram in it. How did you react to getting that film?
It's so funny because when you're in it, you don't understand like the grandness of what you're creating, because you're so fixated on your work and shooting and your day-to-day schedule. It was only when I saw it on screen and I was like, whoa, I was like, okay, a lot went into that. I mean, we spent 50 days in China non-stop, going from city to town to village, going to places that even local Chinese people had never heard of. Like, Shankar found these locations, these very remote, rural, beautiful, unique locations. And, you know, I was just in it. But when you see it on screen and the visuals and how it was captured, you know, I was taken aback. But it was such an incredible experience working on that film.
And you also worked with Rajini sir, again on the Shankar movies. You know, there have been directors who've actually repeated you in their films, and that's only a testament to the fact that people have enjoyed working with you, because I know that even though there are incredibly talented actors, directors and producers wouldn't want to work with them if they were not bankable, and the second thing is if they were difficult. And you've not been difficult to any of them. So I want to know, like, how did it feel when he came to you with the Rajini film? The Thalaiva film.
So there's a lot of rejection as an actor, right? You know, especially in the Western world where you do lots of auditions. You know, my partner, who's also an actor, on a very international scale, the rejection is still, you know, up there. So I was used to the fact of films coming in and then, oh, we've decided to go in a different direction, or, you know, it's postponed for now, we'll keep you posted. So when I got the call, and Kareena Kapoor was supposed to do the film, and I thought, this isn't gonna happen. Like, as I was listening, and I remember I was on set for Get To, which was another South film, and I listened, and I was like, inside I was like, oh my God, but I was like, logically, I was like, chill. I was like, this is too good to be true. This is just, you know, dreamland. Just listen. Don't react just yet. Anyway, a week later, they sent me the contract and I was on the project, and I was like, oh. Even now, I think back and I think it's such a surreal time and such an incredible opportunity, and yeah, very, very fortunate position to be in.
Now I'm gonna go back to the incident that I spoke to you about, which is the Being Human shoot. I remember Salman sir pulling your leg about how you couldn't do kick. because of I, which is a film.
remember that.
Yes, and he actually told me that, and that time I think he was also planning to do Kick 2 immediately later,
Yes.
and he was like, can you just tell her to do the film now? Should she not do the film now? And that was he pulls people's leg, whoever he loves a lot.
Yeah, he's
and
amazing.
He was pulling your leg, and he was constantly telling me that she didn't do Kick with me. She doesn't want to work with me.
That was the biggest loss of my career. No, it really was. I would have loved to have worked with Salman. I mean, he's like top of my list. And it was wonderful to be able to shoot the Being Human campaign with him. But to work alongside him would have been fantastic. I hope
why
I get to
couldn't you
do
do
it.
it? Yeah, why not?
I was exclusive with Shankar, and that's, one of the regulations of working on a Shankar film. And yes, it was definitely worth it to have that opportunity and to work alongside Shankar again, but I would have loved to have done Kick.
When you speak of Kareena Kapoor, if I remember, please correct me if I'm wrong, when Kareena was supposed to do Queen, you were supposed to do Lisa Haydon's role, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Why did that not happen?
Yes, I think that didn't happen because I think it was a date clash. I think I was working on 2.0.
Yeah.
We were shooting for 2.0, again, Shankar's film, and they tend to go on for a long time, these movies, which is evident on screen. That's okay.
That's true.
Because they're worth the wait. But unfortunately, obviously, dates clash, and I would have loved to have done Queen as well. God, you're making me regret all these sorts of things now. They're all coming back to me. They're all flooding back all of these different opportunities. But Queen was something that I really wanted to be a part of. It's a very female-centric script.
Yes.
And that was something that I'd never done before. It also worked very well in Bollywood. And it was, a fun female cast, which is something that I really would have loved to have done. Something that I would like to do in the future, for sure.
But I want to know, Amy, that, these are films that you couldn't do because you wanted to and you couldn't do it because of date or whatever. But were there movies where, you had almost signed, had signed, and that also happens with actors where overnight you get to know that you are not doing the film anymore or somebody else has replaced you, and did that hurt you?
Honestly, I can't even remember, so it mustn't have hurt me. It goes over your head. As an actor, you've got to have that resilience, right? I think initially, I might have taken it personally, or I might have had, a lot of sadness about the situation, but you move on from these things. There's so many different opportunities that arise, and you never know. That's the beauty about acting in this industry. You never know what's around the corner.
That's true.
You really don't.
But how do you handle rejections? Is there a better defense right now vis-a-vis what you had when you were younger?
So I didn't have a defense mechanism when I was younger. I think you build that, and you build that resilience. You build up that resilience by the amount of rejections that you do get. So you get so many rejections that in the end, it's like, boom, boom, the pings
But in the
off you.
beginning, did it hurt you?
It didn't hurt me, but I would think about it a lot, and I'd be like, oh, I really wanted that. But I've come to realize that God has a funny way of allowing you to move on from things and onto, bigger and better things in the long run. You can't see it at the time, but I've worked myself up to a place where I know that, okay, that mustn't have worked out for a reason. I don't know what it is yet, but it will transpire and become evident. So I've come to that kind of conclusion in life, because otherwise, you just sit and you wallow and you overthink, and we haven't got time for that.
But when you came in, there was already a built perception around people who were coming in and who were actually foreigners, and there was a lot of judgment and a lot of perception which you had to break through. Did that get to you ever? Because in and around, you've always been kind and empathetic towards everybody, regardless of who they are, where they are from. But when you see people looking at you differently or treating you differently just because you are from a certain place, did that ever bother you in the beginning, especially?
I didn't notice it, to be honest, as much. I think now I understand it. I empathize with it, and I think, I get it. I get it, and it's a way of life, and obviously I've been given those opportunities. the directors or the producers, and they wanted to cast me in the film, and this has transformed my life and given me a life that I could only ever have dreamt of. But I don't know their position. I don't know what they're going through, and everybody has an opinion.
Yeah.
So.
After that also you worked, I think in Theory, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And today, when you look at Atlee,
Yes.
he's completely revamped Bollywood last year with Jawan. And I'm guessing he's planning a movie with Shah Rukh sir and Thalapathy Vijay sir together in a film. And you've actually shared screen space with one of them.
Yes.
He has immense stardom all over India and globally. How was he on the set? Because he's very different with people, like, from what he's perceived to be.
Atlee
and Vijay, Thalapathy.
So Atlee, obviously he was a very young director. I think it was his second or third
Yeah.
film. And everyone's like, this director, like, he's got something. And he did. He has great vision. He has spark. And he has just a great embodiment of movies. You can see that from, the work that he's created since then. But it was a very energetic set. It was full of life. I love working with that kind of generation of directors as well, because they see things with fresh eyes.
True.
And it's a whole different mentality. So it was a contrast to a Shankar who has been in the industry for 20 years, maybe?
More than that.
More than that. I wanted to be polite. But he's a renowned director who has so many films under his belt, whereas Atlee is, up and coming. Obviously, he's created his foundation in the industry now massively. But it was great to work with him at such an early stage.
And Thalapathy.
Yes. Thalapathy Vijay is, like, iconic. Like, he's like a sensation in South, and working with him and acting alongside him, he's just very charismatic, yet very approachable, but just has a very star quality, and that is very present on screen. He doesn't have to say anything, his aura speaks for itself.
Amy, I hope you keep being the person you are, because I know you would be. Happiness is not just a state of mind for you, it's a state of being, and you've always been that person. And I hope you continue to be happy always in your life, personally, professionally, because you've already spread so much happiness around you that all of it should just come back to you leaps and bounds, that's all.
Right back at you.
Thank you.
Takes
so
one
much.
to know one.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for
Lots
the
of love.
interview. Thank you, lots of love.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Amy Jackson, and you're watching Galatta, India.
GT Holidays, South India's #1 travel brand.
Govi, a vernacular edutech brand, skilling everyone everywhere.